will say this, then he will say that.
It's
ridiculous.
Like everything I'm being accused of is literally me reflecting the same energy back. I came here with no intentions. I didn't even know that this was a pro or for room. I didn't even know.
Listen, Ethan, I'm trying to have a conversation with you, but you're not letting anyone speak. And you every time that I'm opening my mouth, you assume what I will tell you, and then you will be backing me. Oh my God, okay.
I don't think you can even hear yourself or see yourself, bro. Like, that's the funniest thing, bro. Like, you literally did the exact same thing, and then when I do the same thing back, you don't like it. I'm making a point. Again, big brain. The point is, I get it. You're going to have your position. What I've said to you is that I don't care to debate, because I'm always going to be on one side. You're going to be on another side.
Okay, so facts don't matter to you? So facts don't matter?
Hey, I'm saying...
So facts don't matter?
No.
Facts don't matter?
Bro,
facts don't matter?
Well, we covered this issue.
No facts matter. Can I have a conversation with you? So let me ask you, when you were talking about women and children, can you tell me a bit more about this? What do you mean?
I tried to be rational.
Can you tell me more about what do you mean by women and children?
Let me finish.
What do you see?
Okay.
You didn't finish your point yet? Okay, go ahead, finish your point. I thought you were talking for free.
Oh, thank you very much.
He does not give a fuck what a Jew says. What he's interested in saying is women, children, and fuck off. That's all he has to say. Women, children. And he gets all of his stuff on TikTok. He's looking at TikTok and saying women, children. Women, children. Women, children, race. That's all he's got.
You're so bad.
He loves terror.
You are actually supporting women and children dying.
I know you're not winning, Daniel. Can I ask an easy question that hasn't quite actually properly answered, bro?
Look how you all come off mic. You're like raps, bro. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, relax.
Actually, I think you're the rap.
Like raps? Wow. Okay, hold on.
Should be caught.
Okay, please, can we keep the dehumanizing rhetoric to a minimum, if you can, Adam? And if you have something that you didn't say yet, then say it now, but then please allow others to respond, okay? Because you're hogging the mic, and the only thing you say is, again, he's talking about.
Okay, but you, look, stop it, man. Behave yourself. Just don't interject when I'm saying something, and I'll be done. I don't know how many times I need to say it. My friend asked me
only once, and you said it already 7 times. Can we move on? Can we just respond to you, or you still want to say it a few more times?
So I'll say it a few more times because you keep interrupting and I feel like I haven't actually expressed myself. That's how that works. My friend asked me a question. I responded.
Yeah,
I then went on to say that I don't want to... Jesus Christ, grown men, your wife must really love you, man. What I'm saying to you is that I don't want to have the argument because it's going to be a waste of time. Like, this is demonstrating.
Then why are you still here arguing? It's a waste of time.
You should leave, man.
Like, why are you here?
Right.
But before you leave, I actually have a question. I actually have a question. We don't have a question. How and when did you pick your name? You named yourself after Edmund Yerushalmi.
He left.
Was literally executed yesterday, but it's about the kids and the girls. I know that. I know that, but I want to make a statement that this fucker literally names himself after an executed prisoner and says it's about the morality of children.
No. He has had this name for a long time. He was Augustus Eden since 2021. So this has nothing to do with Israel.
Oh, that's Augustus? No wonder he's about the same.
Augustus
People will
Eden,
not answer tough questions if they're propagandists. They won't.
We didn't even get to the questions. He didn't.
Perspective or something like that.
He didn't.
There is no.
He didn't agree that anyone else would talk. He just wanted to talk and say nothing. Like, basically, I let him speak, and then he said, we are cutting me off, so he continued speaking.
Oh, they kicked me. Fascists. There's
a comment in the group chat, a couple, by Harlequin. And the first comment is, happening in this house means nothing. And by the way, I invited him up and he can't come up. And then I said, it may mean nothing to you, Harlequin, but it means a hell of a lot to me and Alfonso. And then the response comes back, yes, Dean, I'm aware. I'm perfectly aware how you two admins act out of accord with other admins. I have no idea what the fuck
means a threat to someone, while you're in the room, we have no reason to police others and be like, you know what, you're not worthy of our group because well, you're doing it. And the funny thing is, everyone outside of the house seems to be up to date with the sex scandals of the atheism community. Because, a couple of them have been brought to my attention.
I'm not up to date on the sex scandals of the atheism community.
Yeah, and I don't think we want to be because it's not our business anymore, right? But it's
Hold on. You can't say
they're all behind closed doors. And by closed doors, I mean in other rooms and in real life. And I'm like, and they're like, you have to trust me. This person is doing this and that, and this other person. And then they come and they out their own friends, right? By saying, you know what, I was calling this person out, but now this other buddy of mine is doing. So I'm like, it just becomes confusing because it seems like this power struggle where people are trying to be these crusaders for morality. But and yeah. So,
who are you calling puny, Alfonso? Because it's
we're managing this whole situation. We're managing the situation in such a good way that you know what, you have an solve it with Clubhouse, solve it with your own friends, your own distractor. It's none of our business anymore because I haven't been harassed.
That's the lie, though, right? Like, I mean, you do make a decision, right? You do ultimately make the decision, right? But you make a decision, Alfonso. That's the only point that I made, right? That the admin on this in this club made the decision, right?
Now is I'm not concerned.
But you were though, right? You were though. It's just a matter of networking.
These are the white guys you can easily defeat.
I would like to talk to Harlequin for a couple of minutes, if that's okay. I would like everybody to mute up except for Harlequin, please. See, you've got a hot mic. Oh, and Harlequin left. What? And what a shame that I invited the guy up. He first said he couldn't come up. Then he came on stage. He was interrupting Alfonso. And then when I gave him what I thought is total respect, I said, okay, everybody mute up except I want to have a conversation with Harlequin. Everybody mutes up. And then what does Harlequin do? He fucking leaves.
Well, Steve, can I just point out?
Those are the facts.
Can I just point out the ability?
Yes, Adrian.
The ability to just like center oneself, to take a deep breath, and to, I like the quote by Alan Watts when he says, "You are under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago." I like to say you're under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 seconds ago. That's the type of reset that I think a lot of people need help with.
Hey, Adrian, you practice that too. So I would give you credit for practicing what you preach.
And let me say this about myself, me, and only me. And then, see, I know you want to speak, so see, after I say this really quickly, although I'm under no obligation to be the same person I was 5 minutes ago, I just got finished saying that one of my main priorities is to be consistent. Like me, don't like me, you will find that with very few exceptions, I'm the same person I was 4 years ago when I joined Clubhouse. And by the way, I joined Clubhouse in April 2020. Was it April? Well, 2020, 2021. I forget. But I pride myself on my consistency. I wanted to talk.
See, that's just another way of centering yourself. I don't understand why Benjamin does that.
Hey, Adrian, can I hear what C has to see? Thanks. Say, go ahead, C.
Yeah, this is so interesting because there's so much that comes, but it's so baseless. Like, can we just talk about, like, the Council of Nicaea? Can we talk about, the Old Testament versus New Testament? People actually want to defend your religion you believe in. And I've been through these conversations for a long time. Like, y'all are not doing this. And this is what it makes, and it understands, and what I understand in my mind is that how fragile of your egos are, because your ego is connected to your religion, and your ego is connected to your whiteness. And if somebody challenges that, oh my God, it's the end of the world.
I would like you to challenge me on that, C. I don't think my ego is attached to my whiteness. I don't agree with that. I'd be happy to discuss that.
Okay, but I don't see you in that way, and I don't think you carry yourself in that way.
Okay, so you're referring to, and thank you, I'll take that as a compliment. You're referring to some people, referring to all people that believe in God. I don't understand.
I am referring this to, and I'm putting this on some people who actually believe in God and believe in certain religious structures.
I completely agree with you, and in fact, I said it yesterday. I said it yesterday on my show. I think some people feel the need to denigrate other people to make themselves feel better. This is why, and I think this applies to a lot of the Christian apologists, the far right wing
Christian nationalist.
Christian nationalists. Thank you. I think they feel a need, whether it's in Dr. James' conscious or subconscious, to express to other people that they are right, and if you don't agree with them, they are wrong, because it helps them reinforce their own beliefs. Again, I'm not a doctor like Dr. James. It's just my personal opinion.
All I have are personal opinions as well, and from school. So I just want to, at least put that out there. By the way, I'm just thinking really, really quick. I'm thinking about in my personal relationship at home. There is a style of. You know what, Adrian? Go ahead. I think you were wanting to talk.
I want to hear what Dr. Davis.
Hold on 1 second. I just wanted to say that you don't hear on this app. You don't hear on this app very often people denouncing violence. Or I like the peace movement of the 1960s and that time frame historically about the peace movement. I think it's a really beautiful time in American history in the worst of times. I don't think from a.
Hey, hold on. Is anybody getting like a clicking sound from him? Is that like?
Hello?
I've been trying to speak for a while, and I'm driving, so I can mute all the time.
No, I don't think it's you, Alfonso, but I think it was a clicking sound.
Well, Alfonso's a mod, so let's let Alfonso speak. Go ahead, husband.
Yeah, so, I think our side tolerance has gone way down. And we have such amazing conversation that when people bring in their personal issues and scandals, it completely throws us off, and it puts people against each other when we're just on the subject. And I think what the great lesson that I've learned is, as soon as someone comes up with some BS like that, they will be the audience, because it's really annoying that they say, you know what, this person has done whatever, and so they, they're a threat to the community anymore. But it hasn't happened in the room. It hasn't happened in my presence. So even though you might have 5 people coming in and saying, you know what, this person is an offender, or someone who has attacked someone in the community or done something, I have no role whatsoever. Nobody in the room has a role. And
Yeah, but you'll be accused of platforming, but platforming is not
What the hell? What is he talking?
what? You don't understand what he's saying? You don't speak English, sir?
I speak English and I speak it very well, but I'm just saying, for him, if he is not understanding what other people are saying, and he just wants some conversation and actually just kind of muddy the waters or like put piss into the pool, like then that's not like a real conversation.
Well, then you're
He's
just complaining about the
understanding
ingredients
that,
of a stew. You're just a complainer, sir.
man, let me tell you this. I am so much more than a complainer. I'm a solution oriented person. And the thing is this is that you are a complainer. I am solution oriented.
Okay, now I'm complaining about your complaints about me.
Excuse me. I'm just meeting C for the first time today, and my experience of C is that he's been contributing in a really positive way, playful way, a way that feels like it's helping with group cohesion. And Adrian, to be fair, your whole changing of your MAGA when you came in the room, now you're Adrian Dittman, who's actually a parody of Elon Musk, and who are you really? It's like your whole point is that you're.
Who are you, Dr. J?
You are. I'm exactly right, I am. So let me continue. So the point is like if you come in and all you're here to do is kind of muckrake, I mean, what's like?
Sir, it's just your opinion that I'm a muckraker. I'm just a man like you.
Hold on, Adrian. It is my opinion.
Wait, do you hear that ticking, that clicking? Your mic is clicking or ticking, see?
Yeah, that's when I come off my mic. I don't have anything in the background that's clicking or something. Like
Yeah, neither do I. So I can interrupt you with fake, clicking, ticking comments too. Go ahead. What were you teaching us about? Something wonderful and enlightening?
hey man, I was not trying to do anything to subvert your, whatever you had going in your background or to your message. But I would just simply say this that when talking to people around you and talking about your experiences, that if we're going to have such a huge brushback, I don't know if those are friends or foes. Now, here's the thing: is like I've been having this conversation since I've been in college. That was over 20 years ago, and so I'm cool with you believing in Jesus Christ, in the whole, Trinity and all that kind of stuff. I'm cool with that. But here's the problem that I run into is that when, as a person of myself, when I say that I don't believe in it, then that's when the problem comes. Like the problem arises because once I come to you and I say, "Hey, I think it went a little bit different," so and I think this spills over into politics and it just like it goes through the gamut of just all kind of things that happen. So if you're saying that you don't want to fuck with me, I'm cool with that. But guess what? Life is still gonna be still life, and I'm gonna still have my own opinions. And also, while you have your Bible, I am actually building up other articles and other books that I can bring to you. Let's say when we get to be like 50 or 60 years old, and I can bring that to you. Like the reason why I kind of even got into this is like back in my 20s, like my early 20s, I got into nonsense, and I understood what was like predating this movement. Now, but here's the thing: is like if you don't want to read the book, then that's your problem. But also, I'm not saying that Gnosticism is the end all be all. But you should also be able to bring some other things to me and say, like, hey, this is what it means is the totality and the fulfillment of what it means to actually be a Christ lover and a Christ follower. But none of y'all never do that because y'all just simply stuck on the Bible. And y'all don't want to deal with, books left outside the Bible when it comes to like the Council of Nicaea. Y'all don't want to deal with any of that shit.
My phone died. I was away for like 2 or 3 minutes. Now, yeah, I think you're on the train of Jesus and Abrahamic centric spirituality, and yeah, I think it's not only atheists or not only certain theists that are not interested in the Gnostic Gospels and all this other stuff. It's probably the vast majority of humanity. But I understand that when you come from a path where you've seen wisdom and knowledge and have found even enlightenment in texts that resonate, that connect with our inner spiritual self, that we would call people out and say, you know what, if this is such a powerful tool for us to understand, to connect with the divine, that we want others to get interested, to learn and capture.
So let's say this, like let's take all of the badness and all the magic of teeth and all everything else. Let's take it out of that. What would be Alfonso, as you're saying? Well, I'm sorry, hopefully. Yeah, Alfonso. Yes, your name. What would be your marketing strategies for Christianity? How would you market it to people in the current age?
Well, what I do is what I did just now. I try to see the perspective of the person I'm speaking with.
No. I want you, like, if I'm a person listening, I want you to market Christianity and why.
No. I'll know you back at you, because what you're pushing onto me is that I have to give you a method to push some sort of objective Christianity, and how should I market it to the global population? And that does not work. In my experience, if I engage with someone and I know where they're coming from, I'm going to be a lot more effective.
Okay, all right. So
my agenda or the Christian agenda or something that I feel is better. I'm going to be able to connect with them on such a personal level that even though I might not convince them, they will see that there is an intention to connect, grow together. That I'm not after them to either glorify or condemn them, right?
All right. So listen to what I'm saying. Then. All right. So how do you go out from like a Christian perspective? How do you go out and save new souls? How do you bring in new souls to be saved? I want to hear your breakdown.
That there is one Christian perspective. There's a unified Christianity that we can all agree on, and that'll touch all souls. But from your perspective, that might be something that you consider real and palpable. But I think from the majority of the rest of us,
answering the question that I'm asking. I said,
of course I'm not, because the question you asked me,
how do you go out
driving to an answer, it is your perspective. I cannot give you your own perspective, right? I can't give you your own perspective. I can only give you what I try to do is to give a perspective that is global and that is able to affect the vast majority of the people.
You muting me is not going to actually think. I'm asking you.
Well, the thing is that the rules in this room, are you let someone finish speaking. We allow people to interrupt 1 or 2 times, but if it's a recurring theme and it prevents people from getting their ideas across because you feel triggered by the response that you're receiving, which is not in the shape or form that you expect it to be, then you have to have patience and take notes. And once you have a clear idea of what the other speaker is saying, then you can reply. If you're going to get stuck in the first sentence that I've spoken, we're not going to be able to communicate well. I let you speak and finish your question, and then I reply. And I try to give as many caveats and to give as wide a perspective as I can, so that I'm not attacking or detracting from your position. But you seem to be triggered by the first one or two sentences.
You realize how you keep talking about whatever you think I'm doing, but I've asked you a direct question, and I said, how do you go out and you win the goals? That's all I ask. That's all I'm asking. Like, I'm not trying to be an argument.
And I did respond. I said the way I would get new souls, because this is what I do as a spiritual atheist, right? I don't believe in the spirit, but I reclaim many of the words of spiritual music, Christian, Muslim, whoever, right? Because I know where they're coming from, or I at least attempt to understand them. And so if you're asking me a question of, that's why I think the question you're asking me is, from your perspective, how do I, bring someone to Christianity? And I cannot do that. I can only bring someone to, if it's a hypothetical on how do I bring people to Christianity, I can only do it from my perspective, from the best version of Christianity that I can comprehend, that I can attain, right? And to me, the best version of Christianity and any type of spirituality is one in which you can intimately get to know your interlocutor as much as you can. Once you've gotten to know them, I think half of the battle is won.
Alfonso, can I just interrupt real quick?
And the other half of the battle is for you to actually have the humility to say, you know what, the best path is my path, whether it be Christianity, atheism, or whatever, or you've got a great path, let me learn from you. And that's something 0.01% of the population brings to the table. And those who do bring it to the table are usually mods, because they're willing to listen, to understand, to connect with people. That they, my mods, and it's not necessarily this group of mods, because this room is Steve's room, but the rooms that I run, they're run by modelators, people who model behavior, who can sit for minutes or on end.
Alfonso.
And then they have to speak. And when they have to speak, and when they have to speak, it's because they have something really valuable to give to the conversation.
I'm going to add in here, and I do want to hear. I haven't heard from Aditya. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. Rock. C. I know that may not be the answer that you wanted to hear. I know you may not think he answered the question, but I believe Alfonso did answer the question. But I want to go to Aditya. Aditya, you haven't spoken yet. Would you like to contribute?
Yeah, heard. I know.
Yeah, no. Aditya.
I like happily hear my tendency because I want to hear their perspective on this. I don't see it as such a mission to save people's souls because I don't believe in any kind of afterlife. I'm really sorry.
No need to apologize. I don't believe in a soul either. We haven't heard from Rock and Roll. I think it's Rock and Roll. It's Rock and Roll. Hi, Rock and Roll. Would you like to speak, or are you good? I guess you're good. Adrian, you wanted to chime in. Go ahead, Adrian.
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself a strong English speaker. I'm not a software developer. I don't know all these complex codes and databases. I don't consider myself a scientist. I don't scream scientist at people. I know a beautiful Latina chick at the beach, and we're having a debate about the vaccines, and she screamed at me that she's a scientist. She was so angry with me, and she declared she was a scientist. And I kind of started laughing because I realized, well, you haven't figured out the silence of anger, the science of silence, the silence of anger management, the joy of silence, and how words carry negative charges, emotionally speaking. And I just want to say, as a strong English speaker, I believe in at least my ability to at least say Happy Labor Day, to be positive, to have joy, and to use positive, what I consider neurolinguistic programming on this app, which is a social audio app. I try to choose my words carefully, and I've apologized, hopefully, to people that I've wronged, and that's why I love Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. there are things in religion which help psychotherapeutically for wellness, for therapy and healing and that type of personal salvation work, which there may be no afterlife, but I want to try to be happy now. So happy Labor Day, everybody.
Thank you. And now I am going to take a fresh 5, because for those of you that were not at the show yesterday or didn't hear it on the replays, we had someone come in who I had a conversation with, a 90-minute conversation, and the question of the title of the room, which was a couple of days ago, and I'm paraphrasing, was, is there anything beneficial that came out of religion that could not have been tamed by specifically secular means? And right off the bat, I listed a handful of things. I listed God, I listed heaven, I listed hell, I listed the devil, and I listed the paranormal. This conversation was brought up because originally I made the statement, which I've been making for years, that religion is a necessary evil, that mostly 90 or 95% of the things that come out of religion are good, although just like pharmaceutical drugs, 5% of pharmaceutical drugs can be bad. I bring this up because I was talking about earlier today, and I will continue to repeat that like me, don't like me, love me, hate me, at least I'm consistent. So if you all bear with me, if you got them, smoke them. This is Shanito, who came on the show yesterday and briefly.
That's crazy. That's funny.
Thank you. Well, wait till you hear it. I'm assuming you haven't heard it. This is Shanito, who came on the show early yesterday and read a prepared statement. And of course, I allowed him to read it because I constantly say, if you want to critique me, just do it respectfully. And you can say, you don't like me, you do like me. Anyways, here's about the first 4. Here's his uninterrupted speech, and then I'll let it speak for itself.
Good morning, everyone. I want to bring to light that to everyone in this room, we're listening to the replays, my concerns I have about Steve and his intentions on this platform. As some of you already know, Steve and I participated in a room he created yesterday where we were supposed to engage in civil dialogue about a statement he made prior. Roughly 4 days ago, Steve was in Atheist Voices house room. Other than Steve and myself, there were a handful of other people present in that room whom I'm not allowed to name according to his rules. Supported by Steve. During this interaction, Steve made a bold claim: religion is a necessary evil, which prompted a response from nearly everyone in the room. The room operator was not ready to have that conversation at that moment and opted for Steve to discuss it later, at a later time with anyone in the room. I immediately accepted those terms. Steve then prompted to quickly set the details of the room to have a discussion about his claim. The detail of the room title is where we had a bit of trouble because I wanted to make sure I understood his position. I just told Steve I don't know exactly what he means by necessary or evil. I told Steve that what he means, what he means is that there are beneficial aspects of religion that can't be attained by purely secular means, then that should be the title of the room. Steve immediately agreed to the room title without any pushback. Steve later contacted me through the back channel about setting up the room. I will gladly make the interactions available to anyone who wants it. Mostly clarification details. The important details was that Steve was unable to create the room with the title of the topic we agreed upon because it was too long. I told him we could name it whatever he wanted. We could name it Purple Fuzzy Unicorns for all I care. I said to use the description of the room to illustrate the topic of the discussion we agreed upon. Steve agreed. I told Steve I don't want to have a debate, but rather a civil discourse about his claim. The rest of the details in the back and forth aren't relevant to the points I'm making now, so we'll just skip that. Fast forward to the day of the discussion. After joining the room, I was greeted by Steve, his chosen moderators, and a room of people slowly filling with interest. Steve and I addressed what had happened and what prompted the discussion we were supposed to have. Steve asked me if I wanted to go first. I respectfully declined. since Steve was taking the affirmative stance. I didn't want to make any points about Steve that I didn't understand, so I opted for Steve to elaborate his position. Steve pointed out how easy the discussion was going to be. He began by avoiding the agreed upon discussion entirely. Instead of backing up his claims, he decided to die on a pedantic hill. Thankfully, there was an anchor moderator in the room whom I'm not going to name, because it is against the rules set forth by Steve, but they knew who they are. Thank you very much for being who you are. At this point, it became very clear to me that Steve is a dishonest interlocutor. Instead of having a civil discourse, Steve opted to obfuscate the conversation. He failed miserably. He even lied by stating that the title of the room doesn't contain the word beneficial, and we agreed on a different title. I have evidence that this claim is also false, because I have recordings of him asking me what the title of the room should be, and it is as follows. I responded with, and I quote, "Also, let's make sure we verify we're both on the same page of the title of the room. Maybe it's too long, but the gist of what we're wanting to ask Steve is there any aspect of religion that is beneficial to humanity that can't be attained by purely secular means?" End quote. So when Steve says in the conversation that we had that the word beneficial was never agreed upon in the title, he is dishonest. I have the recordings. I can provide them to anyone. I don't know how many of you consider yourselves a friend of Steve, but I would say that I have known Steve long enough to call him a friend. It may not sound like it right now because it's very heated, but then you should ask yourselves, what expectations do we have from our friends? Honesty? Integrity? If so, then what is the best discourse of action when friends behave dishonestly or without integrity? Do we enable this behavior by pretending it never happened, or do we take a stance by holding to our own principles? I offer the latter. I do not encourage or want to enable this behavior, or I hold myself to a higher standard. So until Steve apologizes to me and everybody else for being dishonest and wasting our time, then I opt to not engage with Steve or be a part of any of his rooms. There's more I would like to say, but I feel that is enough to get the message sent. And with that, I have nothing else to say.
This is crazy. And before I go on mute, let me just say this. This will take 60 seconds. I originally, as he correctly said, I wanted to title the room "Is Religion a Necessary Evil?" But he didn't want to do that. We went over 4 different titles, and then eventually we agreed on, and again, you heard him say it, is there anything positive to come out of religion that could not have been tamed by specifically secular means? My first answer was God. I then went to heaven. I also then went to the paranormal. I also went to the devil and hell. This is why I said this was very easy. I doubled down on it. I'll triple down on it now. In my humble opinion, there is no way whatsoever that God and heaven would ever be in any of our consciousness, in our thoughts, without religion. We may not have learned about God and heaven from a religious source, but wherever we got it from, it eventually came from a religious source, i.e., without religion, there would be no God and there would be no heaven. And that's what I was saying. But then when he didn't agree with me and he tried to give me examples and replays are on, then he wanted to go back to the original topic. Well, Steve, let's talk about whether or not religion is a necessary evil, and I refused to do it. No, you didn't want to title the room that way. I didn't prepare for that, which is why I said the way you wanted to title the room made it very easy for me. What benefit, what good came out of religion that could not have been purely obtained by secular means? Answer: God and heaven. But I was accused of being dishonest. I was accused of being a liar. And last but not least, although he considers ourselves friends, or he used to, he's never going to talk to me again unless I apologize to him and everybody. I land my clubhouse full.
Yeah. So Steve, I'm gonna say this. My dad is in the. I called my dad and I said, "You gotta get to this conversation." fraternity some months ago. He will give you like how black man's perspective about how God, religion, and how I even got to this point, because he turned me on to stuff when I was like, a very young child. So like I want you to hear from him, like, because he will definitely put you on to some game, like, because this is.
Oh, hey, babe, I love your dad already, but trust me, babe, I got fucking game. And I strongly suspect that your dad learned about God in heaven either from religion or from somebody else that learned it from religion.
Yeah, definitely.
Nobody learns about God. Well, pardon me. He actually brought up this tribe of people in the Amazon, which he didn't have a name. He didn't know the population. Without religion, I'll make it simple. Without religion, there is no God and there is no heaven without religion.
Steve, can you look at my message in the chat? Because I kind of, thought about what you said here. And can you just read what I wrote in the chat?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. Which is seems like it's what I just said. There would be no God or heaven unless there was religion. That's like saying there would be no religion without words, English, or different. I agree with the first. It's exactly what I said. There would be no God or heaven unless there was religion. That's exactly what I said.
Right,
yes.
But we are communicating in English, and I just like to term it English industrial complex, because I just went to the Polish festival here in Chicago, and Copernicus, who discovered the heliocentric model, published it he called Earth on this map. I saw it yesterday. It was called Terra, Terra. So these people didn't even talk in English.
The term like terraforming, like terra, like this terra is another word.
No, it's not terraforming, it's terraforming.
Which has to do with establishing atmospheres on other planets, right? No.
Well,
like we can go to
a terraformer establishes an atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
You have to understand the controversy of Copernicus, that he went up against the political religious order of the church with a new scientific model from observational, data. I mean, that's true science.
It was also the name of the dog in Back to the Future, Copernicus, but whatever. Dr. James, hey. It's true. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. James.
I hear directionality in your assertion, and I'm curious about that. Could you unpack that a bit?
I'd be more than happy to. I don't understand the question. Ask it a different way.
Fair enough. Yeah, okay. So when you say religion causes belief in God,
I didn't say that. I didn't say
okay,
that.
I'm paraphrasing because that's why I asked.
How about let me rephrase.
I'm not attacking you.
Dr. James, I'm not feeling Dr. James. I'm not feeling attacked at all. It's just I'm very sensitive when people say that I said something and get it wrong. So no disrespect. So I want to repeat what I said. That's all. Without religion, there would be no God. There you go.
Okay. So when you say without religion, there would be no God.
Correct.
What I'm hearing is directionality in your assertion, i.e., God is birthed from religion. Is that what
yes,
you really
God is born out of religion, yes.
Can you think of an example where that might not be the case? Or
that was the whole basis of the 90-minute conversation, and my answer is no, not one exception.
Are you open to other opinions on that?
I'm open to, yes, of course.
Okay, so here's an opinion. And there's a lot of overlap, weirdly, between Adrian and I in terms of some of the things he says. I think
don't worry about him talking.
I'm just saying. No, listen. No, I am. But listen. What I want to say is there are actually, even though I think interpersonally we just, it's not working. I do hear some of what he's saying, and I just want to say it in my own way, differently. And so my.
But what he said was exactly what I said.
Okay, so then let's leave him out, like you said. And let me just talk to you directly.
said exactly word for word what I said.
Okay, so then let us just have a conversation. Let's forget about that.
That's a great idea, Dr. J.
Thank you. Okay, so humans are born, right? And humans have these innate drives and conditions and things that develop within them due to their social relationships, right? You have a relationship with your caregivers, your mother, your father, maybe one or the other, maybe someone who adopts you. But the point is you develop an experience of relationship, and then you learn to imitate and learn through imitation, right? I mean, there's something to that. And the notion of these existential questions we have that maybe we don't have a word for, I don't believe, and I'll tell you why, I don't believe that they necessarily stem from quote unquote religion, because religion in particular, to me, infers an organization that is a group of people with some predefined or developing beliefs that they share. So what I hear you saying is that these people got together and they began to sort of write their mission statement, and they decided that, I'm using this loosely, they decided God will be this and that and the other thing, and we're going to practice these ways of behaving and yada, yada, yada. But I think it's a little bit more fluid than that. I think within culture, within families, within our circles of influence, we're already developing these notions of the sort of existential unknown that maybe we don't use that same word for, but they're coming, they're burbling up from something deep within us that is really kind of grappling with the limitations of being a human being and life and death. And but I'm not sure I agree with what you're saying, and that's why I'm trying to understand it a bit better.
Well, that's fine. No problem. In fact, in the group chat, Rock and Roll says Steve basically supported Shanito's point. No, I didn't. I allowed
that have essentially robbed our government and, our politicians of independent judgment. They can't think for themselves. Okay? They're all shaking their head, talking about, we must protect Israel, ironclad agreement. When they fucking blow a bomb up in America, one of these terrorist organizations, right? Don't worry. You're going to be looking at Biden like, what happened up in Iraq for the red line? Why you ain't stop the bombs? Why you ain't sanction nobody? You just been sitting there shaking your head, looking stupid, talking about ceasefire, and doing nothing. So, it is what it is, bro. Malcolm, my man, do you really think that $3.5 million, right? $3.5 million will buy America? You said 3.5 million? Yeah, million. Well, where's that number coming from again? From 2000. So just as an example, I just Googled APAC lobbying investment, and then as of early of 2019, APAC had 17 regional and satellite offices and a new headquarters on K Street in Washington. APAC spent $3.5 million on lobbying in 2018. Yeah, this is old news. Every single every single data that I show, for example, in 2024, it was 1.6 million. Million, not billion, not trillion, million. Do you really think that this sum of money can buy America?
I'm sorry, gentlemen, can I interrupt you and just possibly change the topic?
I don't think so. I'm actually trying to get marijuana right now so that I could get high. But it's like a drought. In any case, though, $3 million, no, I don't think that's enough to buy America, brother. Okay. So all of their spending in lobbying since 1998 was $60 million. Let's say 61 because it's like 893,000. So let's suppose $61 million. Do you really think that since 1998, giving $60 million to America can buy America? And let's just add. Let's just add.
unusual numbers have to be off.
Let's just add also the contributions and not the lobbying. So the contributions are also 30. Early on, we don't have all these words, right, to build upon to create these sort of coherent arguments about these very particular things. What we
Yes, like for example, 3,500 years ago, they didn't speak English, arguably, or Hebrew. They spoke Aramaic. Yes, please continue.
So, for example,
nobody speaks Aramaic like right now.
Hang on, C. We'll get to you. Dr. James and I are gonna finish co-impacting this, then Alfonso, and then C. Go ahead, Dr. James.
I'm liking it.
I love that.
So when I was,
I love that for you.
There's a story.
I love that for you.
The point is that I touched the stove, right? And we all know this story. It was hot as fuck.
Yeah,
okay?
I did the same thing to my son. He wanted to touch the stove. I told him no. Finally, one day, I got my shit together. When he went to touch the stove, I grabbed his wrist and I put it on the stove, and it was hot. He never did it again. Yeah.
Okay, well, I was raised.
What the fuck? Uncle Steve abused his son. He burned him.
So I put my hand on the stove.
What the fuck?
And someone said to me, bad, right? Now, actually,
child abuser.
More nuanced than bad. But I quickly learned a construct which was quite binary of good, bad. And one of the bad things, right, was putting my hand on the stove because it burnt and it melted my hand. You can run with these analogies, and if we had a lot of time, I could kind of walk you through really very nuanced what I'm thinking.
If we had a lot of time, no, bro, I wouldn't want to give you a lot of my time. The fuck is wrong with you, dude?
The language or the understanding of the world we live in, right? So we create these projected ideas upon things. I think we already came up with God and the devil, right? They're in us. And
not without religion. No, not without religion.
So let me just ask you a question then about what you're saying.
Yeah, and then we're going to move on because we've had 5 minutes to unpack this. We co-unpack this, and I don't think we've even addressed the issue. But go ahead, ask me the question. Hang on, C. Go ahead, Dr. James. You wanted to ask me a question.
Okay, so I disagree. I think you're taking on a little bit more of the persona of yesterday and not the popcorn style persona right now.
Because, like, 9:45, they really start shutting the place down. I was there last night. They forced everybody out.
Oh, okay. What were your plans after?
I mean, I'm just going to go to sleep afterwards.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, we can get together another night if tonight doesn't work. But I mean, yeah, I got to get up early tomorrow. I'm already exhausted.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, no worries. If I hear back from him soon, I'll let you know. But probably won't work out.
Okay. Well, no worries. We'll see each other soon, and tell David I said hello, or either way, we'll get together soon.
Okay, that sounds good, John. Hope all's well.
Okay, likewise. Take care. Talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too, bye. Bye-bye. It might not be worth it because, like,
you could be my luck. Even in a hurricane of frowns, I know that we'll be safe and sound.
No. But you didn't do that, and I don't know if you should have done that. My only point, and we're equals. My point is, Dr. James, I agreed with almost everything you said, but with all due humble respect, I don't think you're hitting the nail on the head. But that's just my opinion.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine. So developmentally, we have more nuanced questions we may ask ourselves as we get older and begin to think in more abstract ways. But a little child is not thinking in the abstract.
Maybe you and I should have a 60-minute room on whether or not anything beneficial came out of religion that could not have been obtained by purely secular means. Think about it.
See, I'm not here to. I mean, I'm totally willing to do that if you want, but also.
I really don't want to.
Okay.
I want it.
Okay, look, I'm gonna sound like one of those people. I do feel like you're being like a little bit intense with your energy right now and being a little bit trying to control the dialogue here.
Very intense.
So maybe for me, I would appreciate when you're feeling a little less intense, we could continue to die.
I think that's a great idea, Dr. James. Dr. James. Excellent. See. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Alfonso Venzi. And it's a popcorn. Okay,
let me hold on. I'm trying to chime in. I think these exercises might be useful. I take the approach of seeing what data, what do the experts say, what do behavioral scientists, anthropologists, neurologists have to say about this whole question of religion, whether it's good or bad. And one thing that I think that the trap that we're falling into is assuming we know what is good and what is bad, and we intuitively will say, what is good is what makes us, peaceful and able to communicate, and so we'll assume these things when we conclude what benefits come out of religion. So I'd like to deconstruct this whole thing a little bit. The first fallacy we fall into is that assumption. The second one is that religion, like Dr. James said, just came up one day. Someone came up and said, I'm going to invent a religion. And most ideologies and philosophies and religions and spiritual paths evolve slowly and take different turns according to context and to the culture in which, and the weather and everything, or the environment in which they're emerging. So these binary questions of, are the things that religion brings about good or bad? It should never be they're good or they're bad. It should be there's a purpose, or there's a reason behind them coming about. And it's probably some experience that people had and said, we want to avoid this behavior, we want to avoid these things in the future, therefore let's put on these rules. Let's either agree on them or have someone go onto the mountain and ask God. And so they slowly come up, and some of them might have been inherited, and some of them might have just been agreed upon with time. And so what the experts say is that we were more likely to have
Well, that already happened. It already did attack real women and children. Hold on.
They kicked me from the room. What a shame. Fascists.
He's not what South Africa is, future is. He really isn't. He's an extreme individual. He doesn't want to find a peaceful path.
Right.
Good morning. Good morning. I hate to interrupt. Hold on. Malcolm, we got to do a refresh, bro. You're going to need a new PTR, man. We can't work with you if you're that gay. That's just so gay, dude. Gotta change it, bro. Come on, man. Work with us here, dude. I don't want to see that ugly photo, bro. That is disgusting. Get rid of it. Do something new, man. Become an artist, my friend.
Yeah, I'll figure something out with this photo.
Fuck that photo. What is that bullshit? It's just nasty.
I liked your last photo, dude. I really got a feel for you when you had your last Peter art.
Do a painting, man. Do a painting. Like, do a graphic design thing and call it, Ishkanda or something. I mean, brand yourself, bro. You're wasting your time, dude. We're marketing experts over here.
Yeah, look at me. Like, Kamalu's got a new Moses every
flipping day. You know what I mean? Today I'm in mourning.
Yo, Pumala, you be having me wondering about you too, because I be seeing all of your artwork, and I'm like, I wonder, you know? Because I know you know people, I know you travel, you know? And it's just like, it's cool. But I'm gonna let you know.
Hold on. So let's go with the yeah. So we sort out the issue with
JD Jarrett. JD Jarrett.
Yeah, Jerry Bryant.
Okay, I just invited him to speak, and if he comes up, we're gonna put a Jerry. Yeah. Oh, I want to speak to this man.
But hold on, Steve. I think he has been on stage for a while, and he hasn't spoken whatsoever. So I think he get a chance.
Also, Idiot said that doesn't want to speak, really wants to listen.
Okay, I think
it's so childish. You grow up, please.
Now, and also, I will give you this. I'm more of the liberal side. My dad is very conservative. But the thing is this, I'm turning 40 this year. My dad is turning 80. He just turned 80. So I think it's going to be a great dichotomy to listen to,
all right.
Yeah, I mean, stop talking about your dad, bro. If your dad wants to speak, he'll speak. He's 80 years old.
I'd like everybody to go on mute.
Daddy's boy.
Yeah, no, Steve's getting mad there. He keeps stepping in. Steve is happy with you.
It's so funny. Stop talking about your daddy, boy. Daddy's boy.
I mean, there are people on this stage that plan to vote for Kamala Harris. They're planning to vote for their own slave. I'll read a juicy one from the chat. Kamala is black and is absolutely not a communist. Well, let's see. Depends on what your definition of black is. I mean, if you want to call people from India black, then maybe you're right. If you want to say that Jamaicans are black, okay, I guess there's an argument there. But I know that from being on Clubhouse, there's an entire group of people that would argue about what the definition of black is. I'm not going to define what black is. I don't care if she's black or if she's something else. What I do care about is the fact that she is a literal fucking communist, which is why I wouldn't vote for her, but that's why some of you are voting for her. Some of you like communism. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think the black thing is a bit silly. She went to historically black university, the most famous historically black university, and she pledged the oldest black sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
So you know that Howard, the enrollment rate for people who identify black at Howard is 60%.
That's the grad school, you idiot.
It's crazy to
That's
me.
the grad
It's
school, you
crazy.
idiot.